Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is June Liu. How you doing, June?
Doing good.
So today we are talking about the H. Upmann by AJ Fernandez Toro. Cigar is 6-inch by 54 ring gauge. Comes out of the Tabacalera Fernandez factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper is Ecuadorian Sumatra. Binder is Nicaraguan Corojo 99. And the filler is Criollo 98 and Piloto Cubano. Blended by AJ Fernandez, obviously. Cigar is $7.50, and it was released in May of 2017. So, June, what was your pre-light experience with this cigar?
I thought it was very good. In terms of the look of the cigar, the wrapper had a dark chocolate wrapper shade to it. Veins neatly pressed, seams tight, almost invisible. Bunch of roll, really well done. No soft spots, uniform give present throughout the whole cigar. Head finished off with a really well applied triple cap. Smelling the wrapper, I got a flowery perfume and cedar. When I smelled the foot, I got a pretty big, a dose of white pepper and mixed nuts, and cold draw, mixed nuts, dry cardboard, and a very like a lit, tingling white pepper spice. So all in all, a really good pre-light.
Yeah, the wrapper was a kind of a dull milk chocolate brown. A few veins that were present carried a slightly lighter color to them. The seams were nearly invisible, even with those different colored veins. It was neat to see that you couldn't really tell. Head appeared to be finished off with a double cap. The two bands, primary being turquoise, gold, and white, carries a brand name on it. Secondary band is a strip band just below that primary one, mostly white with some gold and turquoise on it, which identified the cigar as being made by AJ Fernandez. Aroma from the wrapper was a mix of baker's chocolate and leather. And the foot brought like a slightly damp wood and cayenne pepper. Pre-light draw, that cayenne pepper, really hit my tongue. There was also some very creamy leather that was also present. So getting into the flavors, what was your experience like?
Starting from the first third, got a abundance of earthy minerality with a decent amount of this like a gritty, like a dry dirt character to it. In addition to that note, cedar, I got like this faint underripe stone fruit and black pepper. Retrohaling gave me spicy cedar, bread, roasted dry nuts. Finish dominantly filled with that same dirty, like that dirt-like grit and a sharper cedar note coming through. Strength and body, medium. Moving on to the second third, still shows that same amount of that minerality of that dirt grit, and that once faintly sweet cream that I started getting in the beginning, within the first third, started kind of deepening. Flavor of the profile shows less pepper. Stone fruit leads the profile in the entirety. Retro still sent around that spicy cedar bread, roasted nuts. Finish also has no changes, still being full of that dirt grit and sharper cedar. Strength kind of moves to that medium full category, while body still stays at that medium. Now moving on to the last third, it's pretty much mimics that second third except for one major difference. I thought that the finish picked up a charred and kind of this bitter note, but the gritty dirt and that sharper cedar is still tasted. It just has that layer of that charred bitter tone going on. Still, the mouth straws still gives me that same dirt grit, sweeter creaminess, tapered black pepper. Body strength remains unchanged, and that medium, near medium full, respectively.
Yeah, for me, the initial draws brought a fairly intense cayenne pepper with some wood in the background. Half inch in, that cayenne pepper kind of eased up a little bit, let more of the wood shine through. Retro Hill was kind of a reverse of that profile. Primarily wood with a little bit of that cayenne kick in the background. And inch in, the wood overtook that cayenne note, but there was still that pepper finish that was long, there long after the draw. Inch and a quarter in, a little nuttiness could be detected in the, primarily woody profile with a slight cayenne kick. And then inch and a half, the profile was quite drying, primarily wood, slight hints of cayenne, nuttiness, a little bit of cream. And the strength in that first third was just slightly above medium. Getting to the second third, dry wood note continues along with a little bit of faint nuttiness in the background. There was also still a little bit of a lingering cayenne pepper present. Retro Hill carried a bit of a mesquite wood note to it. And then at an inch in, the wood gains a slight char and all the other background notes had left the profile. Inch and a half, still no change. Really very dry, slightly charred oak. And as the third was coming to a close, a little bit of mustiness joined in with that slightly charred oak. And the strength stayed at the slightly above medium mark. Getting the final third, a heavy bitterness joined the charred oak. I decided to purge it at that point. I just didn't want to kind of fight the bitterness, and I was lucky because that bitterness greatly reduced kind of at the half-inch mark. Charred oak was back up front at that point. I just had a little bit of bitterness in the background. An inch in, the oak lost most of that char. Still a little bit of bitterness in the background, and that's kind of how the cigar finished out. And strength kind of was reduced slightly and just to add right at the medium level. So getting a performance for burn and draw, what was your experience like?
I thought the construction was absolutely perfect for both burn and draw. So the burn, solid ash marks, inch and a half increments, slow pull burn, pretty much almost razor sharp line. It's just, beautiful burn. Draw, amazing. Perfect resistance and airflow, just zero complaints.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you in regards to construction. Burn is perfect, razor sharp the entire way. Ash held on about inch and a quarter increments. Same thing with the draw, it was just perfect. Right amount of resistance that I like, nothing to worry about there. So could just focus on flavor. So overall, what were your thoughts on this cigar?
Overall, I thought it was a good cigar. Good enough to smoke again. I thought that with this cigar, having AJ's name behind it, fans of AJ will be very familiar with this profile. Specifically, I'm talking about a lot of that Asian blending style. AJ's blending style has this like this gritty, dirty to it, cedar spice. So if you know that light profile of AJ and you appreciate it, you're definitely going to like this cigar. For me, yeah, it had those, but I thought it still had a little bit more than that, specifically kind of that sweet and cream pulling through, and it really enhanced that overall profile. It's worth a try. I would say that this is a good little spin on an old traditional Cuban brand. Also in a interesting way, it's a familiar one because of AJ's specific style.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I had high hopes for the cigar kind of from the pre-light and how the cigar kind of started out, because it was pretty high in strength and spice, but unfortunately it just couldn't maintain that flavor in the strength levels, and it kind of settled into a primarily standard woody profile, which I find kind of with most AJ cigars. And the construction was typical AJ, really good. So but flavors were the focuses, and the cigar just didn't provide much more than an average profile for me. I'd smoke another one if somebody handed me one, but I'm not gonna go seek this cigar out. It really just didn't do it for me. So in regards to the scores, I gave it a 6.10. You gave it a 7.17. Anything that matches up with your experience?
It matched up well. I mean, I overall scored the first, second, last third good. I think it hit that low sevens because I scored the construction just perfect. So, and overall it was good. So, it's a high looking score, but that construction really helped it out.
Yeah, that's how mine made it into the sixes. I mean, it was just perfect. So that, obviously helps it out. But I thought the first third was good, but the rest of the cigar was kind of average. I almost thought the last third was going to be subpar just because of how that bitterness was just kind of flooded in, but I was able to get rid of that with a purge. So that kind of saved that final third to just keep it at the average mark. But I don't know, man. AJ Fernandez is maybe the blending style just doesn't do it for me. Doesn't match up. I know he's working with a bunch of people, and obviously they like it because they keep going back to him and things like that. So, but just for me, I think it's kind of just an average cigar. So, but I'm sure others that that are big fans of AJ, this would be another cigar that kind of meets those expectations. But it's just not for me. Any other final thoughts from you?
So speaking of that, I kind of almost equate AJ to be like the Starbucks, of the industry.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what you're going to get from Starbucks, right? It's going to
Right.
be consistent. With AJ, construction is always going to be great, consistent. The flavor profile for the most part is going to be consistent as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the Starbucks of the industry, perhaps.
Yep. I guess that's one way to look at it. We were just catching this video on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. You can also catch all our review recaps on podcasts, so iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.